Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is now Fishman Blog number 70, believe it or not, and I want to start off today with some results from the first of the breeding groups for the guppies I set up. If you remember a few weeks back, I was running out of females and I wanted to set up a few breeding groups to increase the number of fry I had. So I put in 3 females and 2 males. Since then I pulled out one of the females. I didn't really care for the look of her. And now I have some fry, which is excellent. So I am going to remove them and give them their own tank, because I am trying to, like I said, increase the number of fish I have. I don't catch them out with a net. I use one of these little plastic containers, and they stay near the surface, so it's really quite easy to dip them out, and that way I don't run any risk of squishing them. So they're going to get their own aquarium, and as new fry appear, and if I manage to catch a few of the ones I had missed the other time, they're going to go in here. And this is going to be their own aquarium, and there's tons of plants in here, tons of infusoria, and I am going to be feeding them on crushed flake food and microworms. So they should grow up quite nicely, and hopefully in time I'll have a nice large colony again, because I end up moving an awful lot of my guppies out into fish tanks now that all my clients are open again. And I was getting a little low on it, so it is nice to start building this back up again. So we'll see how this all goes. I mean, they should do really well. I mean, it's guppies. This is the colony, the original, where the pair is. There's a couple in there I missed. I really like the look of these 4 fish, so I'm really quite happy. And they're really, full of energy and active, exactly the way I want my fish to be. And anyway, they should have some really lovely fry, so we'll see how they grow up. Now this is the second batch that she's had in about 7 or 8 weeks, which is just crazy. And I remember I told you last time I want to put her down below. Well, she spit them out, and there they are, but she's still quite parental. She holds them in her mouth at night, so I left her in there temporarily. I'm going to pull her out probably the next day or two. That way the fry are out all the time. As you can see, they're a little skinny here because she's holding her mouth way too much. And this is, I think, 3 days later. And you can see that they're fattening up now, so it's not really a big issue. But I want to fatten her up as well, and I'm going to put her down below with the goldfish, and then she should fatten up quite nicely. And I'll not put her back with a male for a little while, because she needs to have a rest from breeding. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on my Cyclops and Daphnia, and I sort of have some seed shrimp in there as well. The hay is working out really well. I'm actually getting some nice numbers now, and I'm going to start fiddling with that around with a bit, trying to get even more. The ratios of straw to water and that sort of thing, it is fairly important, but I am, like I said, I am getting good numbers now. And one of the things I'm doing is I am setting up hay with water and a lot of paramecia, getting that nice and cloudy, and then I'm feeding that off into these as well. So I'm trying to work around that and try to get as much as possible. So as you can see, I have a great many bottles going, and the paramecia cultures are just thriving very nicely. I'm very happy with the numbers that I'm getting, and I have... in the test tubes now, I think I have 7 or 8 of them going, which is really nice. And then I pour these into the larger jars with the hay. I want to get them nice and cloudy, and then of course going to work with that and hopefully get lots of it. This is now a week later, and this is on the left cornmeal 25% and oatmeal 75%, and the one on the right is just all oatmeal. The one on the right I harvest daily, and I get tons of worms out of it. The one on the left I have not harvested yet. It's not, I mean, this is the one on the left. This is the amount of worms that are in there. It is lots. They are all now large worms, not the, small and almost like broken ones that I was having the last time. There must be some form of inhibitor in the cornmeal, which is preventing the yeast from growing. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to keep fiddling with it and see what happens. If you remember from a long time ago, I tried setting up a vinegar eel culture with just white vinegar instead of the apple cider vinegar. It is still doing quite well. The reason I'm showing you this is I am now, it's been over 2 years since I started up these particular cultures here. and it's time to clean them out. It's time to refresh them. I was actually noticing a drop off finally in the number of worms I'm getting, and also, believe it or not, a smell. So they are still this is the white one. This is the white vinegar, and it has vinegar eels in it. And so did the other ones. Next clip is going to be here. You're going to see a few of them as well. But the population is just way too low. So I'm going to clean out half of my vinegar eel cultures, and I'm going to set them up fresh. Obviously, I'm going to use the worms from these cultures to start them up. I'm going to take them. I'm going to pour 6 of them all together, like just decant off a fair amount from each of them, mix that all up, and then as you can see on the left, that is just now nice and clean, fresh apples, and it'll take a little over a month for these to get going. And then once that happens, I'm going to take the remaining 6, these ones here, and I'm going to do the same thing to them. It was just getting to the point where they're getting way too smelly and nowhere near enough worms. And if you remember from last week, I had set up these bettas to breed in the pond, and you can see the larger female I have pulled out, and she's now out in the main part of the pond, and I put in the smaller female and the male, of course, into the enclosure. We're going to see how they're going to do. The only difference between this water and the water I was using in the summer for this is in the summer my fish room is about 3 or 4 degrees warmer, so that might be a bit of an issue, so I may have to add a heater into this at some point. But for the moment, I'm just going to leave them in here. I'm going to feed them well, let them fatten up, and see what's going to happen. They may decide that the water's too cool or too clean or something. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And by the way, thank you very much for all the suggestions I got on the last video for this. I am going to try and incorporate some of them at least in the future, depending on, of course, if they breed. I'm not going to worry about it, but we'll see how that all goes. I'm just going to give them time for the moment and let them do their thing and see if they're going to build bubble nests and fatten up and show signs that they are interested. This is a few days later, and as you can see, nothing has happened. But again, it's early on still, and we'll have to wait and see. So I really like these fish. I am going to probably try and pick up a few more bettas. You never know. I mean, the problem with fish in general is you can give them the perfect environment, but in the end, it is all up to them to see if they're going to spawn or not. Oh, and by the way, I do have one small fry from the rainbows. They were actually breeding. They just simply weren't using the trap. So once it gets a little bit bigger, I'll show you an image of that. So here are the lights. They're all nice and hooked up now, and I'm going to get those set up soon, and that'll give me a lot more space. Everything else up here is doing really well. This tank with the Borlori in it, they're 3 weeks older than the other ones. I probably will consolidate them, though. I am pulling the zebras out to breed them. And believe it or not, the Colombian tetras are all in there, but they spend all their time back in the Java moss, so I think I might be pulling that Java moss out soon, and hopefully we'll get some eggs and stuff out of them as well. And all the plants are doing perfectly fine up here. I've certainly got all the bugs worked out for how to propagate them now, so it's beginning to look really nice up there, and I will continue to increase that. Now this is the centerpiece for the paludarium, and as you can see, the lily has sent out 3 nice new shoots, and that's growing really quite well. Now, one thing I said I was going to do today that I just didn't get to, I meant to pull the hornwort out of here and see how it was doing, and to tell you the truth, I think it looks really nice. It doesn't seem to be dropping any needles. It had initially, but now there aren't any needles in there at all. And I think is actually larger than it was when I put it in there. So I will get to that next week. I did want to show you a clip of this, of course, because it is really sending out an awful lot of shoots now. This is actually growing quite nicely. And of course, I still do need to put something in the middle of this. And when I get time, I'll get to it. It is doing really well. I'm quite happy with it. It is more than sufficient for this aquarium. And I think these guys have paired off. Not sure. They do seem to start showing the indications of interest in that sort of stuff. So I may have to pull out the plecos in there just so they don't munch on all the eggs. And this colony, now that I have more aquariums, is finally going to get divided up. And I'll get them breeding again, because I haven't really noticed any small fry. But then again, there are so many adults in here that I think little ones just don't have any chance at all. Now I get some really nice looking males, so I'm going to divide this up, and I want to get at least 2 colonies going, maybe 3. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, they're very lovely fish. I'm very happy that I finally have these guys, and they're doing so well here. And you can see how full of eggs the females are, so I definitely want to get them breeding. So last clip is going to be this tank here, the 7-footer. And you're going to see Ripley here in a second, and this is the next big project. I wanted to get this all hooked up and running. There she is. So leave lots of comments. Let me know what you think, any suggestions and all that sort of stuff, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.